Diana was quiet, but she was not weak. Every morning, she walked into school the same way, head slightly lowered, steps calm, her bag held close to her chest. She did not rush like the others. She did not laugh loudly or try to draw attention. She moved like someone who wanted to pass through the world without being seen. But people noticed her anyway, not because she was loud, but because she was different. The first time someone insulted her, she did nothing. The second time, she stayed quiet. The third time, when someone pushed her slightly in the hallway and laughed, Diana simply adjusted her balance and kept walking like nothing had happened. That was when the whispers began. Why is she like that? She doesn't react. She's weird. Soon, it turned into something else. Something darker. The insults became louder, sharper, more personal. Look at her clothes. Does she even have friends? Maybe she's too scared to talk. Sometimes, they would shove her as she passed. Other times, they would block her path just to see what she would do. Diana always chose the same response. Nothing. She would pause for a second, then walk around them. No argument. No anger. No tears. And that made them even more interested in her. To them, it looked like fear. She's just scared, one boy said one afternoon, laughing as Diana walked past. His friends nodded in agreement. Yeah, she won't even defend herself. Diana heard every word. She always did. But she never turned back, never said anything, because deep inside her, she carried a promise. A promise she had made to herself a long time ago. No matter what happens, I won't let my father destroy lives because of me. She repeated those words in her mind whenever things got hard. Whenever the insults cut deeper than usual. Whenever her chest felt tight and her eyes threatened to fill with tears. She remembered who her father was and what he could do. Her father was not just rich. He was not just powerful. He was something far more dangerous. A man whose name alone could silence a room. A man who did not forgive. A man who protected what belonged to him at any cost. And Diana was the most important thing in his world. That was why she stayed quiet. Because she knew the truth. If he ever found out what was happening to her at school, things would not end with apologies. They would not end with punishment. They would end with destruction. And Diana could not live with that. She did not want anyone to suffer because of her. Not even the people who hurt her. So she chose silence. Every day. Every moment. Even when it hurt. That afternoon, as the final bell rang, students rushed out of their classrooms, laughing and talking as they headed home. Diana packed her books slowly, carefully placing each one into her bag. She stood up and walked toward the door. As she stepped into the hallway, she felt the usual eyes on her. Watching, judging, waiting. She walked past them like always. Quiet, unbothered. Or at least that was what it looked like. As she passed a group of girls standing by the lockers, one of them leaned closer to another and whispered just loud enough for Diana to hear. Why does she act like she's hiding something? Diana's step slowed, for just a second. Only a second. Then she kept walking. But this time, the question followed her. And for the first time, it felt a little too close to the truth. Vanessa wasn't just a bully. She was observant. Very observant. While others laughed, shouted, and acted without thinking, Vanessa watched. She paid attention to the smallest details, the way people spoke, the way they reacted, the way their eyes moved when they were nervous or afraid. That was how she stayed in control. That was how she ruled the school. And that was why Diana bothered her. From the very first day she noticed her, something felt off. Diana didn't behave like everyone else. When people insulted her, she didn't react. When they laughed at her, she didn't look embarrassed. When they pushed her, she didn't get angry. Nothing. It was like trying to break a wall that refused to crack. At first, Vanessa thought it was fear. She's just scared, she told her friends. But the more she watched Diana, the less that made sense. Fear had signs. Shaking hands. Avoiding eye contact. Quick breathing. Diana had none of those. She walked calmly. She spoke softly. She carried herself like someone who had already made peace with something. And that made Vanessa uncomfortable. One afternoon, She stood by the lockers with her friends, her arms folded as she watched Diana walk past again, quiet, steady, untouched by the noise around her. "Look at her," one of the girls beside Vanessa said. "She's so strange." Vanessa didn't respond immediately. Her eyes followed Diana closely. "Studying. Thinking." "No reaction," she said slowly. "No anger. No fear." Her friend frowned. "So?" Vanessa tilted her head slightly. "It's unnatural." There was something about Diana that didn't fit. And Vanessa hated things she couldn't understand. Because what she couldn't understand, she couldn't control. And Vanessa always needed control. Her lips curved into a small smile. "Let's see how long she can keep that up," she said. Her friends exchanged looks, already knowing what that meant. Vanessa stepped forward, her eyes still fixed on Diana. That was when the pushing began again. Not random, not careless, planned, careful. Each day, Vanessa pushed a little harder. A sharper insult, a stronger shove, a louder laugh. She watched closely every time, waiting, searching, looking for that one moment, that crack, that reaction, because she believed something deeply. "Everyone has a breaking point," she said one day, smiling as she leaned against a locker. Her voice was calm, almost playful, but her eyes were serious, cold, focused. Her friends laughed, but Vanessa didn't. Because this wasn't just entertainment for her anymore. It had become a challenge. Diana had become a puzzle she needed to solve, and she would not stop until she did. But deep down, hidden beneath her confidence and control, Vanessa was carrying something of her own. Something she never showed anyone. A quiet pressure. An expectation she could never escape. At home, she was not the queen. She was just a daughter trying to prove herself. Trying to be strong. Trying not to fail. Because failure was not an option in her world. And weakness was dangerous. So she buried it. Covered it with pride. With cruelty. With control. No one saw that side of her. No one knew. Just like no one knew Diana's truth. Two girls. Both hiding something. Both pretending to be fine. But only one of them was being pushed closer and closer to the edge. Diana's real world was nothing like the one people saw at school. At school, she was quiet, simple, almost invisible. But at home, everything was different. The moment the black car drove through the tall iron gates, the world changed. The noise of the outside disappeared, replaced by silence. Deep, heavy silence. The mansion stood wide and beautiful, surrounded by high walls and guarded at every corner. Men in dark suits stood watch, their eyes sharp, their movements controlled. Nothing happened there without being noticed. Diana stepped out of the car slowly. "Welcome back, miss," one of the guards said, bowing his head slightly. She gave a small nod and walked inside. The floors were polished. The air smelled clean. Everything was perfect, too perfect. But it didn't feel like freedom. It felt like control. Inside, her father was waiting. He stood near the window, his back straight, his hands behind him. Even without turning, his presence filled the room. "Diana," he said calmly. She stopped walking. "Yes, father." He turned slowly, his eyes resting on her face, then moving slightly, as if checking for something.
He always did that.
Always observing. "The world is not safe for you," he said, his voice low but firm. Diana had heard those words many times before. She took a quiet breath. "I'm fine," she replied. He stepped closer. Too close. "You say that every day," he said. "But I don't believe it." Diana looked away for a second. "I just want to live normally," she said softly. "Like other students." There was a pause. Her father studied her carefully. "Normal," he repeated. To him, that word meant nothing. There was no such thing as normal in his world. Only power. And danger. "You are not like other students," he said. "And you never will be." Diana's fingers tightened slightly at her sides. "I don't want this life," she said quietly. "I don't want guards following me everywhere. I don't want people to fear me. I just want to go to school and be left alone." Her voice was calm, but there was something deeper in it. Something real. Her father looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned away. "You think I do this to control you," he said. "But I do this to protect you." Diana didn't respond, because she knew he believed that. And maybe he was right, but it didn't change how she felt. "I can take care of myself," she said after a moment. A quiet statement, but strong. Her father didn't argue. At least, not out loud. "Go to your room," he said finally. Diana nodded and walked away. But behind her, his expression changed.
Slightly.
Almost unnoticeable, but dangerous. Later that night, in a private room away from the main house, he stood with one of his most trusted men. "She wants independence," the man said. "She will have it," her father replied. The man hesitated. "And her safety?" Silence filled the room for a moment. Then, her father spoke again.
Cold. Certain.
"She will be watched." The man nodded. Understood. The next morning, nothing looked different at school. Students laughed. Teachers walked past. Everything felt normal. But it wasn't, because someone new had arrived. A quiet man. Simple clothes. No attention. He moved like any other staff member. But his eyes missed nothing. He watched the hallways, the students, and most importantly,
He watched Diana.
hidden in plain sight. A bodyguard she never asked for. A protection she didn't even know existed. Because even when Diana fought for a normal life, her world would never truly let her have it. Vanessa was no longer satisfied with simple bullying. It had become something else. Something deeper. Something personal. She stood by the lockers one morning, watching Diana walk past like she always did, quiet, calm, untouched by everything around her. It irritated her. No matter what she did, Diana never reacted. No anger. No fear. No tears. Just silence. And to Vanessa, that silence felt like a challenge. "She's hiding something," Vanessa said slowly, her eyes fixed on Diana's back. Her friends looked at her. "Hiding what?" one of them asked. Vanessa didn't answer immediately. She crossed her arms, thinking. "I don't know yet," she said finally. But no one is that calm for no reason. There had to be something beneath it. Something Diana didn't want anyone to see. And Vanessa wanted to find it. Not just for fun anymore. For control. So she made a plan. Not just random insults. Not just careless pushing. Something bigger. Something that would force Diana to react. Force her to reveal whatever she was hiding. That day, it started in the hallway. Vanessa stepped directly in Diana's path, blocking her completely. Students slowed down, sensing something was about to happen. Vanessa smiled. "Why do you always act like you're better than everyone?" she asked loudly. Diana stopped, looked at her, then quietly said, "I don't." Vanessa stepped closer. "Then prove it." Silence. Diana said nothing. She simply moved to walk around her. Vanessa grabbed her arm. Harder than usual. "Don't walk away when I'm talking to you." A small crowd had formed now. Watching. Waiting. Vanessa leaned in slightly. "React," she whispered. "Just once." Diana pulled her arm free gently. Still calm. Still quiet. And that was when something inside Vanessa snapped. Her smile disappeared. "Fine," she said softly. "If you won't react here, we'll try somewhere else." Later that day, everything was already set. Vanessa had arranged it carefully. A quiet part of the school. No teachers. No cameras. No interruptions. Diana was called there under a simple excuse. She didn't suspect anything. When she arrived, Vanessa and her group were already waiting. The moment Diana saw them, she understood. But it was too late to leave. Vanessa stepped forward slowly. "This is where we end your little act," she said. Diana stayed silent. Vanessa's eyes hardened. "Still nothing?" she asked. She pushed Diana. Not too hard. Just testing. Diana stepped back but didn't fall. Still no reaction. Vanessa pushed again. Harder this time. "Stop acting like you're untouchable," she snapped. Diana stumbled slightly. Her balance shook. But she stayed on her feet. That should have been enough. But it wasn't. Not anymore. Something had already gone too far. Vanessa stepped forward again. And shoved her. this time with real force. Diana lost her balance completely. Her foot slipped. Her body fell backward.
Fast.
Uncontrolled. There was no time to catch herself. No time to react. Her head hit the wall behind her.
Hard.
A sharp sound echoed in the empty space. Then, silence. For a second no one moved. No one spoke. Diana's body dropped to the ground.
Still. Too still.
A thin line of blood slowly appeared near her head. Vanessa's breath caught. Her heart began to race. This wasn't what she planned. This wasn't supposed to happen. One of the girls stepped back. "Vanessa," she whispered. But Vanessa didn't respond. She was staring. At Diana.
At the blood.
At what she had just done. Because in that moment, she realized something terrifying. This was no longer just bullying. It had become something much worse. Everything happened too fast. One moment, Diana was on the ground still, quiet, blood slowly forming near her head. The next moment, someone moved. A man stepped forward from the far end of the corridor. He had been there the whole time, watching, waiting. But no one had noticed him. He looked like any other school staff, simple clothes, calm face, nothing special.
Until now.
His steps were quick, controlled. In seconds, he reached Diana. He crouched beside her, his movements precise, his eyes sharp as he checked her condition. Then he stood up, and everything about him changed. His calm presence turned into something else. Something dangerous. He looked at Vanessa and her group. No anger, no shouting, just a cold, steady gaze. "Step back," he said. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight, the kind of weight that made people listen without thinking. Vanessa froze. Her friend stepped back immediately. No one argued. No one laughed. The air had changed. The man took out his phone. Not rushed, not panicked, just certain. He dialed a number, waited, then spoke. "She's injured," he said calmly. "Head impact." Immediate response required. A pause. Then, "Yes." He ended the call. No explanation. No questions. But something about it felt wrong. This wasn't how a normal staff member would react. Vanessa felt it, deep in her chest. This wasn't normal. Minutes passed, but it felt longer. The hallway was silent. No one dared to move. No one dared to speak. Then, black vehicles entered the school compound. One after another.
Smooth. Silent.
Controlled. No sirens. No noise. But everyone felt it. Students moved back instinctively. Teachers stopped in place. Even the air seemed to shift. Fear spread quietly, like something invisible had entered the space. The doors opened. Men stepped out, dressed in black.
Calm.
Alert. Dangerous.
They didn't rush.
They didn't shout. They simply walked in, and the entire school made way for them. Then,
he arrived.
Diana's father. He walked through the hallway slowly. His presence alone was enough to silence everything. No one needed to be told who he was. They could feel it. Power. Control. Danger. He stopped when he saw her. Diana. On the ground. Still. Bruised. Blood near her head. For a brief moment, his expression didn't change. But something behind his eyes did. Something dark. Something cold. The men around him moved quickly, carefully lifting Diana and taking her away for treatment. He didn't follow immediately. He stayed, right there. Then,
he spoke.
Softly. But his voice carried across the entire hallway. "Who touched her?" No one answered. No one dared. The silence grew heavier. Vanessa's heart pounded in her chest. Her hands felt cold. But she forced herself to step forward, trying to stay strong, trying not to show fear. "It was an accident," she said. Her voice wasn't as steady as she wanted it to be. The man turned slowly. His eyes landed on her. Sharp. Unforgiving. Vanessa lifted her chin slightly, trying to hold his gaze, trying to prove she wasn't afraid. But then, she saw his face clearly, and everything inside her shifted. The calm expression, the controlled posture, the quiet authority. She recognized it, not from meeting him, but from hearing about him. From warnings. from whispered conversations at home. Her father had spoken about a man like this. A man you never crossed. A man you never challenged. A man whose enemies didn't last long. And, in that moment, the truth hit her.
Hard.
This wasn't just Diana's father. This was the man her father feared. Her confidence shattered instantly. Her breath caught. Her body felt frozen. Because now, she understood what she had done. And for the first time, Vanessa was truly afraid. The tension in the hallway had not settled. If anything, it had grown heavier. Students stood at a distance, whispering quietly, too afraid to come close. Teachers watched without knowing what to do. The men in black remained still, their presence turning the school into something unrecognizable. Then, another car arrived. This one was different. Not as many vehicles. Not as many guards. But still powerful. The door opened, and Vanessa's father stepped out. He walked into the building quickly, his face serious, his movement sharp. At first glance, he looked like a man used to control, used to giving orders and being obeyed. But the moment he entered the hallway,
something changed. He saw the men.
He saw the silence. He saw Diana's father standing there. And for the first time, fear appeared on his face. Not loud, not obvious, but real. Because he knew something no one else in that school understood. He knew who Diana truly was. Not just a quiet girl. Not just the daughter of a powerful man. She was the only heir to everything. Everything her father had built. Every connection. Every piece of power. Every dangerous secret. All of it would one day belong to her. And that meant something even more serious. Whoever controlled Diana controlled the future. Vanessa's father took a slow breath as he stepped closer. His eyes moved to his daughter. Vanessa stood frozen, her confidence gone, her face pale. "What happened?" he asked her quietly. But his voice was tight.
"Careful."
Vanessa opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Because now, she understood something too. Something she had not fully realized before. Her father turned slightly, his gaze meeting Diana's father. The air between them felt sharp, dangerous. They already knew each other. Enemies. Men who had been moving against each other for a long time.
And now,
their worlds had collided. In a place no one expected. A school. Vanessa's father looked back at his daughter. And, in that moment, everything became clear to him. Not just what happened.
But why?
His eyes narrowed slightly. "You knew," he said under his breath. Vanessa swallowed hard. Her hands shook slightly at her sides. I thought," she started, her voice breaking. But she couldn't finish. Because the truth was already there. Vanessa hadn't been bullying Diana just for fun. Not completely. There had been something else driving her. Something deeper. She had suspected Diana was hiding something important. Something big. Her calmness. Her silence. The way she never reacted. It didn't feel normal. So Vanessa wanted to prove it.
To expose it. To show her father that she was right.
That she could see things others couldn't. That she was capable.
Strong.
Useful. But she didn't know the full truth. She didn't know how dangerous it really was.
And now,
everything had gone too far. She looked at the floor for a second, her voice shaking. "I didn't mean for this to happen." But even as she said it, she knew it didn't matter. Because there are some lines you can cross, but you can never come back from. And Vanessa had crossed one. A line that could not be undone. Everything was ready for war. The hallway felt cold and heavy. Men stood on both sides, their eyes sharp, their hands close to their weapons. No one spoke, but everyone understood what could happen next. One wrong move, and everything would explode. Vanessa stood frozen, her heart beating fast, her breath uneven. Her father remained still, but his face was tense. Across from them, Diana's father stood like a storm waiting to be released. The silence was dangerous. Then, a small movement broke it. Diana. Her fingers shifted slightly. Her eyes opened slowly. She was weak. Her body ached. Her head felt heavy. But she was conscious. A guard noticed first and stepped forward. "She's awake," he said quietly. Diana's father turned immediately and walked toward her. He knelt beside her, his voice softer than anyone had ever heard it before. Diana. She looked at him. Her vision was a little blurred, but she could see the tension around her. The guards. The fear. The anger. She understood what was about to happen, and she knew she had to stop it. With effort, she pushed herself up slightly. Her body resisted, but she didn't stop. Then
She spoke.
stop. Her voice was not loud, but it carried. It cut through the tension, like a command. Everyone froze. Even the guards. Even Vanessa's father. And most importantly, even her father. The most dangerous man in the room stopped. Diana slowly turned her head. Her eyes found Vanessa. For a moment, there was silence between them. Vanessa expected anger.
Hate.
Something. But what she saw instead was disappointment.
Deep.
Quiet disappointment. Diana's voice came again, weak but steady. You wanted power, she said slowly. Vanessa swallowed hard, unable to speak. But you don't even understand it. The words hit harder than any punishment. Vanessa lowered her gaze. For the first time, she had no defense, no excuse, no control. Diana turned her eyes back to her father. The tension in the room was still there, waiting, ready. But Diana shook her head slightly. No revenge, she said. Her father's expression didn't change, but he was listening. Diana took a slow breath. We don't need violence, she continued. There are other ways. Silence followed her words. Then, she made her decision. Not loud, not dramatic, but final. Vanessa's family would not be destroyed with guns or blood. They would lose everything another way. Quietly.
Carefully. Strategically.
Their business connections began to disappear. Their allies pulled away. Their influence faded. Money was lost. Opportunities closed. Doors that were once open shut, one by one, until there was nothing left to hold on to. No chaos. No public fight. Just a clean, silent fall. Final. Diana turned fully to her father. Her eyes met his. Strong.
Certain.
If I am your heir, she said softly, let me decide how this ends. For a moment no one moved. Then, her father gave a small nod. That was all. But it meant everything. He had agreed. And in that moment, something changed. Not just in the room, but in Diana. Because now, she was no longer just his daughter. She was becoming him. Days later, Diana returned to school. The same building, the same hallways, the same students. But everything felt different. She walked the same way.
Calm. Quiet.
Unbothered. But this time, people moved out of her way. No whispers. No laughter. No one dared to touch her. Not just because they were afraid, but because they understood. Understood her silence. Understood her strength. Understood her power. Diana didn't look at anyone. She didn't need to. Because now, everyone was watching her, respecting her, careful around her. And as she walked down the hallway, steady and calm, one truth became clear. She had never been weak. She had simply been choosing peace. Until the moment she decided not to. And when she finally spoke, everything changed. She didn't need to fight, because when she finally spoke, the world listened.